Hi, Anthony. You get to either tell me something that nobody knows about you, or you get to be a victim of my deck card jokes.
Well, I'm always game for a good surprise. So give me that game joke.
Congratulations, you are the first person to allow me to do this on them.
Really? I'm honored.
You broke the seal finally on this. We finally got to break the seal on this. Ready? Ready? Now, feel free not
Awesome.
to laugh. I just want you to know you're not obligated to
Okay.
laugh,
Okay.
but I will challenge you
All right.
to keep it together. All
I will be a good liquid
right.
test.
My friend Jack says he can communicate with vegetables. Jack and the beans talk.
Interesting. Very interesting. Makes me wonder about Jack.
I can't help it. I laugh at stupid stuff. All right. All right, let's do this. Welcome back to another episode of Hello Henderson here on Dead Spirit Radio. I am here with a new friend that I made about a couple of weeks ago. I can't wait for everybody to meet him. I think a lot of people know who you are, Anthony. You are with the city of Henderson. Can you tell us a little bit more about who are you?
Well, thanks, Hosni, for having me on. I have been at the city of Henderson for 18 years. It seems like I can't believe that how fast the time has gone. Seems like it was just yesterday that I came here. But I did come to the city of Henderson from Clark County, like many of my colleagues here at the city. Um, and really, what brought me to the city was the fact that I missed some of the grassroots levels of um, planning and making a difference in a community. And when this position working in the redevelopment agency opened up, I thought, what a great opportunity to give back and make a difference.
So I'm detecting an accent. I'm assuming you weren't born and raised in Clark County or Henderson. That is that a safe assumption? Also, I can see things behind you, and also I
That
know you already, so I'm trying to drag it out of you.
yes. Well, that's because we're friends now. But that is correct. So I was born and raised in Sydney, Australia. And so that's why I have a map or a photo behind me of of Sydney Harbour with the Opera House. And I love Sydney. And then also some of the Aboriginal artwork and a hand painted boomerang by an Aboriginal.
That's amazing. And let's talk about the origin story. How did Anthony Malloy of Sydney, Australia, find his way all the way to Henderson, Nevada?
So, long story short, I came to America to go to university. I met my wife while I was attending university in the United States. We got married. We talked about the pros and cons of moving back to Australia. And one day we thought we would do that. But after three kids and a life and a career, it didn't seem to make sense to do that. But I moved to Clark County almost, well, actually, a little over 20 years ago to work for my career.
And what was that career, if you don't mind me asking?
Yeah, not a problem. So, my background is in city planning, and so at Clark County, I worked as a principal planner, and then I came to work at the city of Henderson a little over 18 years ago to and the redevelopment agency.
So you've been with the city for over 20 years. I've talked 18 years, but you've been in the city for
Yes.
a little bit over 20 years. You've seen it go through its changes. The reason I bring this up because I've spoken to Mayor Michelle Romero, I've spoken to Councilman Jim Seebach, Councilwoman Monica Larson, and they all said they're so proud of the work that they put in to change the city, especially around Water Street, right? So, can you tell us a little bit about that? I mean, I again, great
Um,
job. I hear that you were instrumental in that transformation. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
well, I definitely can. And just as you mentioned with Mayor Romero and Councilman Seebach and Councilwoman Larson, I am very proud of the work that has been done in downtown Henderson and the Water Street District. And I like to say that redevelopment is definitely a team sport because it's not something that government can accomplish by itself. But what's really interesting is that when I came to work for the city, Michelle Romero was actually my predecessor in this role. And so she hired me into working for the redevelopment agency in the city of Henderson. And I can say that she was a mentor in teaching me how to do redevelopment work. And she is an incredible leader, and she motivates me currently in her role as the mayor.
Learn something new every day. What is one thing about
Yes.
working for the city that you think it just surprises people? What is it? One thing that's just people are completely blown away when they find out about it.
So I've worked in three different states in numerous communities in those states. And what surprises me, even after 18 years in at the city, is how much the people who work for the city of Henderson genuinely care about the community. And I think that that is something that is pretty unique.
That's wonderful to hear because you can feel it. You can definitely feel there's so much pride here, whether you've been here for 20 years or whether you're somebody like me who just moved here a year ago or you've been here for 5 years. There's a sense of camaraderie and community that I'm from. I'll say this in every episode. I grew up in Jersey, a stone throw away from New York. Um, I've lived in 5 other states. I recently moved from California. I'd say this feels closest to where I grew up in home, and like as far as feeling like community, neighbors, people looking out for each other, people wanting to see each other succeed. I feel like that's the vibe that I'm getting. Would you agree with that?
It would. And that is my opinion of that has changed in the 20, just a little over 20 years that I've worked here. So 20 years ago when I came to to Southern Nevada, it felt like the community was pretty transient and people didn't take the time to get to know their neighbors because you didn't know how long they would be here before people moved on. And to be very transparent, when I came to Southern Nevada, I thought we'd be here 2 or 3 years. And now, 20 years later, I can't believe that it's been 20 years, but the community has changed. And at least where I live in Henderson, people genuinely care about each other. We want to know who our neighbors are. When the people go on vacation, they let us know, hey, keep an eye on my house. I'll be out of town for a while. And we do that. But that's something that I've noticed as being a real change is that sense of community and belonging and community pride as well.
Do you think that's something that happens organically, or did the city plan for this? Is there something that the city of Henderson did that said we want to make this a stronger community and a stronger bond?
Well, if anybody knows the city of Henderson, we are famous for planning. But what distinguishes us is that we develop plans. We don't put them on a shelf to admire them. We work the plan. We make changes to the plan. If something isn't working, we'll look at it, we'll evaluate it, we'll talk to our residents, and we will implement changes that will become that will be effective and that will help us to make the differences that we need to see happen in the community. And I think that it is organic in a sense of the Water Street district. It's a naturally occurring main street, so it wasn't something that we created, but we saw that the area was in decline and that it needed focused planning efforts and that we needed to implement new tools that would help encourage investment to take place. And so, as a result of these efforts, something that we like to say is that the Water Street District is a 30-year overnight success. And the reason I say that is because people will come and say, when did this happen? I just can't believe it. It just happened overnight. But it's something that we've been working on for 30 years.
Help me understand this because I feel like you're touching on something here that I wanted to know for some while. That is growth versus identity. You're making the city grow, but you're maintaining and growing an
Yes.
identity at the same time that is, again, community, neighbors, look out for each other. So, how can you balance the two? Because you don't want to. Sure, you can have tremendous growth and be the next Austin, Texas, San Francisco, right? You can be one of those, but you're trying to maintain an identity here. You're like Las Vegas's, you know, more mature cousin, I guess, the one that has a job and has their life together, not partying all the time.
Las Vegas is a great place. It attracts millions of tourists a year. But Henderson, our tagline has been and is still a place to call home. And because we care about the community and we prioritize what our residents want, we have grown, but we have grown in consideration of the priorities for our residents. And so, through our planning efforts, through our strategic planning, through our master planning, we continue to reach out to our residents and ask for their input to see what their priorities are. So, as we grow, we're growing together and achieving the priorities that we have as a city organization, but also for the residents in the city.
Would you say is changing? What's really changing, not just through press release, not something that you put on paper? What do you say, your gut feeling, or based on your experience and what you see? What's really changing in Henderson and evolving?
We are at a precipice of where we're changing from being a mid-sized city to being a big city with our population now at that 350,000 person threshold. But what hasn't changed is our small town values, where we care about the residents. We listen to our residents. People are connected. If somebody, it doesn't matter who they are, if they call and they say, I want to meet with the mayor, our mayor is accessible. Our city council members are accessible. Throughout the year, they reach out and have community events, morning meetups with our residents. And so I think that that's something that distinguishes Henderson from many other cities of our size throughout the country.
And speaking of growth, you're saying we're going from small to large city, but our population is growing, our uh, infrastructure is growing. What is getting the most attention in this growth right now? Is it the tech, healthcare, infrastructure, small business, big business? What's changing? What areas are getting the most attention?
I would say the level of engagement with our residents. And so there is a lot of dialogue happening in the community and in the media about the drought and how the drought has been ongoing for a decade and the levels in the lake and, conversations like, is there enough water for us to be sustained in Southern Nevada? And so as our growth continues to take place, we field a lot of questions about, is our access to water secure? And the answer to that is absolutely, because of the investments made through SNWA, through the many, many water conservation efforts that have taken place in the last decade and beyond that. Um, I feel comfortable and confident that our access to water is going to be secured. And as we grow, we're growing based on information that we have. We're making smart choices and we're continue to implement conservation efforts. But I would say that that is one of the biggest questions that we address as a city organization.
Let's pull back the curtain a little bit on how things get done behind the scenes. How does it what does it take to make a decision like that? What gets taken into consideration? The reason I ask is because you always have your naysayers, your doubters say, well, it's my water, it's my bill, nobody's going to tell me. For example, that's just one example. But when it comes to making decisions that's going to benefit not just the city, but its residents and its growth, it's a tough act to balance. So, how take us behind the scenes on how these decisions get made?
Those types of decisions are not made easily. They're made through collaboration. We, at the city of Henderson, we pride ourselves on our communication, both within the city and all of the departments within the city, but also regionally to make sure that the choices that we make and the decisions that we make are sustainable, environmentally, that we have the infrastructure that is available to support the demand that will be created by our increasing population or if a new project is happening. And we continue to reach out to our residents and find out what their priorities are, and they change. So we want to make sure that we know what they are, and they change from one part of the city to the next, another part of the city. They change from one um, age group and generation to another generation. And you're right, it's a tricky line to walk to make sure that we're balancing the needs of all of our residents and also the city that will help us to grow smarter and sustainably.
Speaking of decisions and balancing acts, how about the community need versus business or economic growth? And let me be more specific. We know the city is growing, population, businesses, small businesses. Is there a threshold or a line or something that says, we're not ready for this big business? It's not the right time for this big business to come in? Or are you welcoming every big business, every opportunity that's coming in with taking into consideration how it benefits the locals here in Henderson?
Of course, we'll listen to every pitch that we receive or inquiries that we have for businesses, but we do act in the best interest of the community. And so if we have a business, a large organization that's coming in, that's a high water user that we think is not sustainable or isn't a good fit for our region based on our conservation efforts that have been made, then we're not afraid to say we're just not the right fit.
What do people get mostly wrong about or misunderstand about local government?
I think that there is this generalized, and maybe it's a very old opinion that government workers are lazy, that government workers don't care, and that couldn't be further from the truth. The employees of the city of Henderson work tirelessly to make the community a better place. And I think a big reason for that is so many of our employees live here in Henderson. Many of them were born in Henderson, their families are here. And so they genuinely care about the community, and they came into public service because they do care and they want to make a difference for now and for the
To
future.
see that, I have someone who, again, lived across multiple states before and dealt with local government and on a county, city, state level. I would say Henderson is one of the cities that it really, if not the top of that list, that says everybody here cares about their job and the work that they do. So no, I would definitely 100% agree with you on that. So I'm hearing the biggest challenges that the city faces right now that the public don't see is making the decisions specifically regarding water usage, because obviously where we are geographically and the environment and all that. Would that be the number one that's up there, or is there something else that the people don't know, that this is what the city faces on a daily basis?
That's definitely one of the concerns that we hear from residents. Why are you continuing to approve more businesses and the continued growth of the city? Shouldn't we stop the growth? Shouldn't we, preserve the quality of life for the people that already live here? And we're able to do that through balancing and evaluating applications and making changes for conservation efforts as we continue to grow. And so another issue that we face is the that we're running out of land that's available for development because of the disposal boundary. And so we're working on trying to get Congress and the government to increase our access through expanding the boundaries of the boundary.
It's you never know who you're going to talk to learn some more information about how the city is trying to expand and grow. See, I hope everybody's paying attention.
That's an effort not just by the city of Henderson. That's an effort being made by all of the jurisdictions in the valley, because we're all facing that same limitation.
Let's switch gears a little bit and talk about innovation, tech, and economic development. You and I actually would say we met at Tech Alley Henderson, even though we didn't meet that time, but we've seen each other before at Tech Alley Henderson.
Yes.
First of all, how do you like Tech Alley
Yeah.
Henderson?
I love Tech Alley and Lorraine and the efforts that she's making to bring, small business owners and people that may be interested in becoming small business owners and innovators and tech people together every month to just see, what's happening and to talk to each other and share ideas.
Glad you brought that up, especially the small business owners part. What is the role of a startup or entrepreneur or a small business play? What is their role in the city's future?
It's the future of the city is small business. I mean, we all know that 80% of job growth in the United States is from small businesses. But also there's a success factor for small businesses because there's not a lot of tools that are available to them. And so you have startups that will start and they'll fail, but that may be the first time that an entrepreneur or a small business starts. And then they'll start another one and they'll start another one and they continue to dream about what they can do. And I know that eventually people will learn from their experiences and their career path will just launch and they'll do amazing things.
And I know a couple of businesses. One that comes to mind is somebody that I interviewed recently. Um, Palula Pod, Jeremy Olson said the city helped her. The city helped her launch her product and, get it out there. So she is forever grateful for the resources that the city has. Um, how does the city support or could do better as far as innovation and bringing in innovation and startups and entrepreneurs? What is the city is doing right now that's supporting that, and what do you see the city could do that can improve that?
We do have a small business assistance program, and it includes supporting the Tech Alley events. So we help sponsor those monthly meetings. And from that experience, we attend the meetings. We want to learn about success stories, the challenges, and the best way to do that is to talk to the people that are living that life every single day. But another activity that we are involved in is the Small Business Assistance Program. It's kind of confusing because that's what it's called at CSN, but it's a cohort where we take 10 small business owners through a half year curriculum that is taught by CSN on different topics that help them to become better small business owners.
I wasn't even aware of that, but I'm glad to hear about it now. Let's talk about. You've been to Tech Alley Henderson, and you probably heard the same thing over and over. Everything, the theme is always AI, AI, AI. Let's talk about AI in the city.
Yes.
AI, automation, smart city initiatives. Is that real, or is that just hype, or is there somewhere in the middle?
AI is real, it's here to stay. I think for me, it's a tool that I use to make the work that I do a higher quality. Um, we are using AI and technology to make improvements to the way that we do things. One of the areas that come to mind is using the smart water meter system, where it's going to be able to provide real time feedback. So if somebody has a water leak, for example, the smart meters is going to be able to transmit that information. And so people are going to be able to find out sooner rather than the next billing cycle. Hey, I may have a water leak happening. That's just one example of how it makes it more efficient. And instead of needing meter readers to go from meter to meter and open the lids that are out in the sidewalk, it will all be transponded electronically.
Yeah, so AI is alive here in the city of Henderson. Right, it's already embedded. It's already
It,
working.
it is. Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Um, what does that mean for someone trying to build something here? Whether it's AI in the city, AI being used for innovation. I mean, you talked about how it's preventative to certain things with the water and whatnot, but are we using some of that for again the innovation that's coming into the city, the entrepreneurs, the startups?
I think that the entrepreneurs and the small business owners, they're the ones that are teaching many of us about artificial intelligence and how they're using it to make improvements. And some of these people that are the small business owners, they're developing their own AI tools that will make the work that we do each day easier, more efficient. I think one of the concerns, not at the city, but by everybody, is will AI replace people and replace jobs? And, I think to some degree there may be jobs that will be replaced, but really, I think for the most part, it's going to be how do we do our job more efficiently, better, and then we can devote resources to other tasks that we all have.
Can you give us an example of programs or entrepreneurs or local startups or businesses that are pitching AI, talking AI, building AI, using AI that's actually benefiting the city? Do you have any examples for us that we can share?
Not that we have used at the city from small business owners, but I have met with small business owners who um, are in the tech industry who have developed their own artificial intelligence tools, and really, I think it's exciting that we have that kind of talent in the community. And it was surprising. I read a white paper just recently that said that the Las Vegas metro area is one of the top is the number five small business and tech hubs in the country, which is really impressive.
It is very impressive. And again, I've had this conversation with many people. I've been to a few states. I've traveled to 40 states for work before. And you can always tell a trend of what is the next big hub. And I feel, I've said this on the show before, I feel like Austin was that 20 or 30 years ago. I feel like the same feeling that people felt around Austin is what I'm seeing now. Las Vegas slash Henderson. Henderson more.
Right.
It's Las Vegas is more the city, the not just the party, but the entertainment, the sports, the money, and it feels like as far as like the next innovation hub, tech hub, feels like by extension Henderson in itself. That's what it feels like to me. I don't know if you see it differently or not.
And it's really exciting. And there's a lot of buzz happening in the community about, small businesses and the excitement that's building.
Really. Speaking of,
Yeah.
speaking of the next hub, speaking of what kind of people Henderson is trying to attract versus retain.
Well, our priority is to retain every business, whether small or large. And because of that, we spend a lot of time developing relationships with the business community in Henderson. Every month, we prioritize business retention visits. We want to make sure that if they run into a problem, that they know who they can call and that will help them to maneuver whatever the challenges are. If their business is growing and they need to expand, we want to help them find a location that's in the city of Henderson and not potentially lose them to another location. And on the other side, if for whatever the reason is, they need to reduce the footprint of their building and go to a smaller space, we want to do the same thing. We want to be the first group people that they call, and you can only become that first call by developing a relationship, getting to know the businesses, getting to know their priorities, understanding what their challenges are so that they trust you to make that call.
I want to touch on something that we've talked already about a couple of times, but I want to just kind of expand on it if there is room to expand on it. That is the difference between Las Vegas and Henderson. I joke that Henderson is like Las Vegas' cousin or brother or sister that got their life together. They got a job, they pay the bills, and they don't party all the time. Las Vegas is always going to be Las Vegas, right? That's how I view it. As a matter of fact, the logo for this show has what homes that look like homes in Henderson with the Las Vegas stratosphere and the Ferris wheel in the background, in the far background. What makes Henderson truly different than Las Vegas, other than just that's where people go to party? Here's where people actually live and grow.
We all know that the strip is one part of the city of Las Vegas. There's lots of great neighborhoods, there's lots of great people that live in the city of Las Vegas. But as I said before, Henderson is a place to call home. We know that a lot of our residents continue to leave the city to go to Clark County and Las Vegas for work every day. What we're trying to do is encourage investment through business growth and job growth in the city so that fewer of our residents have to leave and go out of our city to get to work every day.
So I'm going to ask you a couple of questions, Anthony, and you're going to have to give it to me straight here. What's the one thing Henderson needs to
Okay.
fix? And just let's be honest about it. Let's just pull back the curtains and let's just be raw about this. What is the one thing that Henderson needs to fix right away?
Well, that's a loaded question. That's a big picture question because my focus is so it's so I'm focused on one area of what we do at the city. Um, honestly, I don't want to say it, but we do such an amazing job at the city. Of all the places I've worked, it's a great place to be. We share information with our residents. I couldn't pick something.
Well, I mean that's I feel like I'm going to keep that in because that sounds like a really good answer. Well, let me ask you this then. What's one myth about Henderson that you wish would just go away? Like enough with this already.
One myth that I would like to dispel is that downtown Henderson is not safe. So people will think that have not been down here for a long time. They have these misconceptions that it's not safe, that it's run down. Downtown Henderson is one of the safest parts of the city. And so, that's something that I would like to dispel.
And you already said there's nothing that you would change. Everything is great right now. Is there anything that you would prioritize to do tomorrow? You say like, if I had the choice to prioritize this, I'll start working on this tomorrow. What would it be?
Yeah. Well, I know that you're aware of it, but one of the biggest issues that we're facing as a community is the Park Ballot Initiative. And if you don't mind, I would like to be able to talk about that for just a minute because a lot of our residents, they don't understand what the Park Ballot Initiative is. So 30 years ago, the voters in Henderson were asked whether or not they were wanting to um, divert 12 cents for every $100 of assessed value of their taxes towards specifically parks and recreation in the city of Henderson. And in the last 30 years, we have spent that money on building 77 parks in the city of Henderson, 8 recreation facilities, hundreds of miles of track and fields and hiking paths. And all of that takes maintenance. Well, 30 years later, we're required to go back to the voters and say, do you still want to divert that 12 cents for every $100 of assessed value specifically to parks and recreation? And so in the primary election in June, our voters will have the opportunity to say yes or no. So voting yes will mean that your taxes remain the same as they are now, and that 12 cents of every $100 of assessed value will continue to come to the city of Henderson specifically for parks and recreation. So that means maintaining our rec centers and staffing, the programming for our youth and seniors. Also, almost 500,000 meals that were served last year to our seniors and to our youth. And so these are all priorities that are funded through that money. If voters vote no, their taxes will not be reduced. Instead, that money will be diverted to other jurisdictions in Southern Nevada and not the city of Henderson.
Thank you so much for clarifying that. I think that might have been something that was just not very well understood, went over people's head. And I appreciate you giving it the explanation that it deserved. Thank you for that.
Thanks, Hosni, for providing me with the opportunity to do it.
So, what does Henderson look like in 3 to 5 years if things go exactly as planned? And which it sounds like it is. Like everything that you've guys planned so far has been going the way you planned it. So, what does Henderson look like in 3 to 5 years from now?
I think it looks very much the same as it does today with access to greater resources and opportunities. So, Haas Automotive, which is advanced manufacturing, is scheduled to open early next year. That will be a great new employment center in West Henderson for residents, not only in Henderson, but my hope is that a lot of residents of Henderson will take the opportunity to work there. Our West Field House will be open within the next year, which is over near the Costco off St. Rose Parkway, providing access to indoor recreational opportunities for the youth. And for the redevelopment agency, in 3 to 5 years, we plan to have another rec center indoor field house open on the former Fiesta Henderson site in downtown Henderson.
There's a lot going on, and
Yes.
yeah,
Yes.
and where what should people do if they want to get involved?
There are lots of volunteer opportunities if they go to cityofhenderson.com and look for volunteer opportunities. Um, we always welcome them to help us. And there's lots of great nonprofits throughout the city of Henderson and the metro area that are looking for people that want to make a difference.
Right? And you said it earlier, everybody in government, especially in the city of Henderson, is accessible. Where do people go to follow you or connect with you if they have a question?
So if they are interested in me, they can look for me on LinkedIn. They can also contact me through the City of Henderson website. My contact information is on there as well.
Is available. I just want you all to know he is available. I emailed him once. He emailed me right back. We connected the next day. He is available. Everybody in the city is pretty much available, just the same way we just did it, right? Exactly.
Yeah. And
And
now
now
we're
we're friends.
friends.
And I know more about the stuff that's behind you from Australia, but I won't say it.
Yes, you do.
All right.
Save that
We'll
for
save
next
that for the
time.
sequel.
Yes.
Anthony, what do you want people to walk away with from this interview?
I want them to walk away with that I have confidence in our community that we're doing great things to serve our residents and that we're going to be better than we were last year, and in 3 years we'll be better than we are today.
Excellent. That will wrap things up for us here on Hello Henderson. Thank you, Anthony Malloy, for being on the show and giving us all the information that we thought we knew about Henderson. We thought we knew how things work behind the scenes, and apparently we don't. And apparently, City got its act together. They know what they're doing. They've been planning this for 30 years, and I believe, if I'm not mistaken, they have the next 30 years planned. So everything is working as it's supposed to. They prioritize you and put you in mind first before they make a decision to make sure that they do what's best for the city and its residents. Once again, thank you for joining us. Thank you for being on the show. Thank you for listening to us. Thank you for tuning in. If you'd like to be on the show, comment below or message us, and we'll make sure that we connect with you to put you on the show. If you like what you heard, please make sure you like, subscribe, share, comment, share this with one person that you think that can benefit from hearing or that you think they enjoy the conversation, and let us know how we did. Thank you once again. This is Haas, and this is Dead Spring Radio.